Hello and welcome to the Blackdog podcast, episode number 313. I'm Lee.
I'm Darren.
I'm Jim.
And I've lost all my money and need to get home.
Is it $20?
It could well be, yes.
Why on earth did you just stick it in the fucking ashtray when your taxi driver was going mental?
Because that's the most sensible place to put $20.
Of course. Well,
everyone knows that.
You buffoon. You deserve everything. You got to deserve everything coming to you. Anyway, so anyway, apologies for my voice. Yes, I'm still suffering from some kind of weird coffee throaty thing, and that wasn't me whistling in the background either, or Mr. Owl. I think that was someone's phone.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry, I'll turn the volume down. There we go.
Anyway, so so we're gonna welcome to episode 313. Yes, we are going to see how everyone's week's been and then get on with this week's film, which is After Hours. Probably one of the only 80s films I haven't seen, I think, which is kind of an odd one. So it's like kind of a cold plunge pool of 1980s for me. Very weird. Anyway, but before we get to that, let's find out how everyone else's week's been before my voice gives out entirely. And see how your week has been, Jim.
I've been fairly busy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's boring. So, in other news, though, just as you know, I know the readers like a good DIY story.
Oh, good.
It's that time of the year where we've played around with the clocks to benefit some farmers. Why the bastards just can't get up an hour earlier and have to inconvenience the rest of us, I don't know. Which never sits well with me. And I'm sure older listeners will appreciate that every time we screw with the clocks, it messes with you.
Yep.
The upshot is my bedroom window, it does get the sun first thing in the morning. And I've got blackout curtains up, and this year I thought, it's happening again. And once I'm awake, being a bit of an insomniac, I tend to be awake.
Yep.
And so I tend to get up earlier and earlier in the summer. And then by about mid-August, I'm beginning to fray at the seams from lack of sleep and starting to see things coming out the walls, which isn't ideal. So I thought this year I'm going to buy a blackout blind as well and put a stop to this evil yellow-faced bastard nonsense.
Good plan. Yep.
Now, being third chair on the Blackdog, I know this does come with the requisite curse of DIY, and so I thought I'll play safe.
Yeah.
I'll get my dad to help, who was an engineer and knows what he's doing and has proper tools and stuff. I won't end up just gluing it up with super glue, blue tack, and scotch tape like I will when I get bored and fucked off with it.
But that's the right way to do it, Jim.
Well, that was my philosophy for years. If you can't fix it with blue tack, sellotape, or super glue, it's probably fucked.
Well, you didn't go to the advanced level of kind of putting some WD-40 on it.
No, it's also why I found my doctor's exams. But malpractice aside.
Nice. Yeah.
We got said, Brian, we firstly found the great first con of the blind market, and that is, all the windows, generally are a standard size.
No.
Do they sell blinds to fit a standard window? No. They sell them in random sizes with handy instructions of just cut it down to size. So we did that. Took us about 5 attempts to get it, but we got it up. We've got it cut down. We got the thing screwed in, that's fine. Mm-hmm. And then, you've got like a pulley chain to pull it down. And so pull on the chain, it comes out the sprocket, the blind comes down, you have to get the chain back in the sprocket, do it again, try it again. Oh, it works. Oh, chains come off again.
Nice.
Repeat, and repeat, and repeat. And then I thought, maybe, just maybe, we should look at the instructions.
Oh.
And then we discovered that this blind, the chain on it was something called a tension fitting, which means the big plastic sort of dongle on the blind isn't just a handy thing for slack-ass bastards to grab on and go and pull and go, open blind. It actually is something that actually screws to the wall to hold the chain tight.
Oh, dear.
And then you just pull the chain and it all works smoothly and it never tangles. So what was it? A 2-hour job. We started at 10. We got it finished about 4.
Nice. And was the actual window still in place?
Yes, yeah, amazing. It didn't get kicked out, although it was getting close at times.
My word, you've done an amazing job, sir.
Yeah, but all else ends well now, because now it means I pull the blackout blind down, close the blackout curtains. I can make it as dark as midnight in a coal mine, any time of the day or night.
Nice.
Which, if anyone has insomnia, you know what an absolute gift and a boon that is.
Oh man, yes. Oh, that's brilliant. Well done on that one.
Yeah,
I've had more than my fair share of running with blackout blinds. I've never really put them on I've never really told the stories on Blackdog with that, but there is a picture of me trying to put one up where I had my glasses and safety glasses on and a drill in my hand, and everyone just said 5 minutes till death or something like that. I don't know. But yeah. Oh well done there, sir. Great work.
Yes. So that was a result, and I'll get some more sleep and stop ordering expensive old books from Amazon in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I was going to say. So this is an investment in your future.
It is.
I sleep, so therefore I save money.
Exactly.
Nice.
Because otherwise it does get kind of like, I remember that book I had when I was 6. I want it again. How much is it now? Oh, a fortune. Bollocks. I'm having it.
Oh, wow.
Spaceships. I've never read that. I must have it. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Let me have that. I'll buy the first edition signed, of course.
There's that terrible escalation you have if you get the collector's gene.
Yes.
You kind of, I'm get a cheap paperback for a penny.
Yep.
I want a good condition paperback.
Yeah.
Can I get it in hardback? Has it got the dust cover? Can I get a first edition? Can I get a signed copy? Can I get the author's galley manuscript? Can I get the author preserved like a living corpse and keep him in a cupboard and talk to him?
Can I have it signed in gold pen by the author's dog? Nice. Excellent. Cool. So anything else, sir?
So no, that'll do.
No, I think that'll do. That would be brilliant. Right. Okay, then we'll on to you then, Elton.
Wow. Okay. To the other end of the spectrum of absolutely doing nothing whatsoever. I had Colin pop up for the Saturday. Colin Jacob.
Yep.
And he came up for a fitting on the suit that I'm doing for him, the Mass Effect suit. So
a fitting?
A fitting, yes.
Suits you, sir. Suits
suit.
you.
Yes,
you've got to get a cubicle with all those curtains.
Yeah, and maybe that wig from the Fast Show, that sort of floppy over the eye wig, and go, "Oh, suits you, sir. Suits you.
Oh, sir.
Oh, sir. Oh, sir.
Is that your father's lightsaber? Is it, sir? Oh,
oh, is that your Valkyrie, sir? Or are you just pleased to see me? Is that your Omniblade, sir? Is it popping out, sir? Oh, sir." I bet you want to ride that Normandy all the way through the Omega 4 relay. Oh, sir. Anyways.
I didn't even think about any of that.
But you are now.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, I'll build a new wing on my house.
That's it.
Just for the cubicle.
The oh, sir wing.
Yeah, apart from that, we had quite a nice, relaxed weekend.
What, you and Colin?
No, me and the family.
Oh.
Me and the family.
Okay, sorry, just joining the dots.
Yeah, no, me and the family. We took a drive out into the country. We took one of them drives where we didn't know where we were going. It was a case of head this way and see where we end up.
Okay, fair enough.
And we did that. Tried to find a couple of pubs and somewhere to eat food. But I think the first 2 pubs we went to, they'd just stopped serving their food at 4:00 on a Sunday. I'm like, hang on. No. I want some food now. And no, they finished serving their food, the bastards. But managed to find another pub. Don't play the music. We don't need the music for this.
No? Sure?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Oh.
But, yeah, that was it. I think we all just had a really nice weekend. There was no football this weekend, so we could all stay together or do whatever we wanted. It was just nice to enjoy the sun and be out in the garden and do bits as well. So, yeah, it was cool.
Cool. Okay.
That was it, though.
Fantastic. No worries. Well, then, let's move on to you, Mr. Barnard. How about you? How was your week, sir?
my week's okay. the sort of like, the highlight of it being going to a geek quiz in the ship in Croydon. And if people cast their minds back a few weeks ago, that's the place that I started off from on my epic quest with the hobbits and the magician blokey with the long white beard to get all the way home.
Yeah,
but this time I'd prepared. I was staying at someone's place.
You had $20. You had $20 and you weren't going to some papier-mâché sculptresses.
No, nothing like that at all.
Okay, fair enough.
No, just an S&M club. But anyway, yes. So,
sorry, go on, carry on.
That's fine. Came joint first. So there we go. Our honour is intact.
Good work.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, we're going to be changing our team name though because of one question that they ask. And
go on,
Jim, you'll know the answer to this one. They said, "Can you name all the Universal monsters in the film The Monster Club?" Right. So I blurted them all out. I got, what was it? It was Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, and I said the creature from the Black Lagoon. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, but that was wrong, wasn't it?
It's
because in
the
the
creature.
credits he's called the Gill Man. And everybody, right, all the teams put the same answer. They put creature from the Black Lagoon, and you just heard it echo from all the tables. Fucking Gill Man. So that's the team name.
Fucking Gillman.
We go fucking Gillman with a question mark and an exclamation mark at the end of it.
Yeah, or Dave Gillman. Never mind.
Of
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd.
Yeah, Pink Flood.
Pink Flood. There we go. That's a good. I like that. Excellent stuff.
Anyway.
So so yes, that was good. And then on the was it yesterday? I went to see Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah.
The live action version, which I've got to say I had a better reaction to than the original anime,
which we'll be covering in a couple of weeks' time.
Indeed. So I'm actually it's gonna be interesting to see my reaction to the anime now that I've watched this film and kind of got the gist of where it was going, because I just remember falling asleep watching the anime.
You falling asleep in the middle of some media thing? That surprises me.
It was half an hour. No, it wasn't half an hour too long. How long is the actual film?
30 minutes.
It was 30 minutes. That's how long the film is.
Yeah.
Well, it is a Barnard length film.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then it was 30 minutes too long.
There you go.
But no, it was all right. I enjoyed it. I must admit, it was a very pretty film.
Did you
effects work.
Did you just spend the whole film just making that squeaky balloon noise every time Scarlett Johansson turned up in that synth suit thing?
Good Lord. Yeah. It actually, that's the thing that I found really funny about the movie, right? Okay, she turns up in this suit that basically she's got, and this is not really that much of a spoiler or anything, she's got a suit that helps her turn invisible. Okay, and I mean, it's not like the Predator. It's this thing makes her go completely invisible unless it is shit. I think she goes either near water or she moves really quickly. Then it kind of breaks. It pixelates.
Yeah. No, she just tries real hard.
Yeah, I can turn invisible if I try real hard.
But when she goes back and you can see her, she's got this suit that leaves nothing to the imagination at all.
No.
I mean, even goes right up the crack of her arse. It's just, I'm not joking. It's just like they've just penciled in lines on a bare naked skin. The only thing you can't see, there's no nippleage, okay, on this.
Right.
So there's one scene where she's been in the water. She's got this wetsuit on. She climbs out and then she turns her back to the camera to take it off. And it's like, well, it's just, why are you bothering? You know?
Yeah.
The only thing separating what you're doing now and what you were wearing earlier on are two nipples, and that's it. And I'm not joking. If you see, it's like, is this what they did? Did they just make her prance around naked and then just CG over the top of her, or what?
No, it's actually a physical costume. It is actually a physical costume. Yeah, it's been from laser scannings. They took a laser scan of her body and then just molded the whole thing to her. Yeah.
There was an episode on Tested where they got one of the presenter's wife to wear it.
That's right. Yeah, Adam, what's his name's wife, wasn't it?
No, it was Norm's wife.
Okay.
That was Norm's wife.
No, I thought it was Adam's wife.
No, definitely Norm's.
Okay, fine. You know better. I'll step down. I'll step back.
Yeah, I've got to ask. Because I'm not a great expert on the actual original anime. Any of us here a great authority on it?
No. I found the original manga everything that I hated about manga, to be honest. But
yeah,
I
of
don't
navel gazing and shit. But no, I just wanted to know the major.
Yes,
in the original.
Yes.
Does it give an indication of what race the major is?
No, and even the owner, even the creator said had no ethnicity or ethnicity.
Right.
He even said that, and even because there's a whole thing in the original cartoon where the major sees that her face, features, and body are that of a store shop mannequin, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly. So that's one of the sort of problems is of her identity, that she's she's an Asian military officer whose brain's been put into effectively a pretty androgynous kind of mannequin. Right.
So I'm really kind of confused now as to the whole whitewashing issue because
it's...
I don't think the people I don't know. You see, it covers this in the film.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to get involved in it, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot of discussion about it, and I've not been following it because, frankly, life's too short. But also, you know, there's a certain point to be saying about the cultural appropriation of the actual original material. You're saying, you know, it's of Asian origin and it involves, you know, Japan and all this kind of thing. So why not make the major Asian? I don't have a problem with that argument. I don't have any.
It's the major herself. If the major is no real kind of if the character of the major in the form that she appears in at the beginning of the film, if that's really kind of I don't know, can you call it a raceless character, or, you know?
No. I mean, like I say, she's definitely an Asian character in terms of the brain that's put inside the mechanical body.
Yeah, and that's dealt with in the film. And so I don't understand. I mean, like I say, I'm not a big expert on the. If the major herself, right? If the actual physical form, not the brain, but the physical form, is not Asian in appearance, then where's the whitewashing thing coming in?
I don't know.
That's what I don't understand.
I don't know because I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't know enough, so I can't really get into the nitty gritty of it. But as far as I was aware, the whole problem was more to do with the cultural appropriation of the original source material. It's like what's it? It's like taking something like the Seven Samurai and turning it into the Magnificent Seven.
You're like taking Thunderbirds and making a really, really bad cartoon of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yes, there is that point indeed. You're taking it and mangarizing it up into some terrible thing. But that's the point of the argument, and I can't argue against that. I don't really, and I haven't seen enough of the original manga or the film to make any other judgment calls beyond that. But then I guess that's part of the problem, isn't it? That a lot of people are doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to judge whether the reaction to that is maybe over the top or whether it's appropriate. I don't, like I say, so if anybody can just, you know, shine a light on this.
You do know this is just going to set off a firestorm on the Blackdog Facebook group.
It doesn't have to. If we're all adult about it, we can just discuss it. And
absolutely. I mean, like I say,
degenerate.
No.
Well, no. I mean, whitewashing is a thing Hollywood does, and
yes,
you know, I've always taken a dim view of the Hollywood approach of, Well, that was in foreign. Let's remake it with Americans.
Yes. See,
you know what I mean?
Quarantine,
and even remaking English things, for Christ's sake. We're speaking the same language, nearly.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, you say that.
I think with Japan though, it's a bit different because I think sort of certainly in genre stuff, there's been a big back and forth between. So the West and the East, certainly in sci-fi terms and fantasy terms, of borrowing bits from each other, left, right, and centre. You know what I mean? And it's kind of, I think when it's that kind of, it's a cultural exchange rather than theft.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I mean, I've not seen this version, but I was talking to my cousin today who went to see it, and he said, "Well, it's pretty." He said, "But the problem was, it's kind of." He said they're trying to please everybody and they're ending up pleasing nobody.
Yeah.
It'd been better if they wanted to do a Western version to do it and set it in New York, or do it fully Japanese and set it in Tokyo. And then you get the flavors of those cultures. But by sort of blurring the lines and, Western characters in the East and playing with the race of the characters, you end up with this halfway house and you're losing the flavour you'd get from going one way or the other.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the other argument, I mean, it's like, there is the review on the Commode Mayo thing, where basically Mark Commode essentially said, you can tell from looking at it that it's made with real love for the source material. So
definitely.
From that perspective, you have to wonder about the whole point of casting Scarlett Johansson. Was it a financial reason? Was it a reason that she could do it? And then there's also the whole thing of the actual creator saying, well, effectively the whole part of the narrative is that the main character is internally one thing, but externally another robot.
And it does follow that. It sticks with that thing because, where the brain comes from, it explains.
Yeah,
and it's just the body that she inhabits now. That's, I mean, just to clarify, I know the whitewashing goes on in a lot of films.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's where it appears, where it applies to this film. It's the character, the physical form of the Major.
Can I ask a question? Obviously, without having seen it, so this may help or hinder. I don't know, but
sure.
Do you actually see the Major before she ends up inside the body of the ScarJo robot?
No, but you get to see the mother. You get to see her. She comes across a parent,
right?
It's made totally clear that. The body that she originally inhabited is Asian.
Right. Okay. Well, that's
it.
Fair enough. Okay. Because the only other thing I would say, and this is where I kind of jump on the side of it's whitewashing, and actually would be better off if they just stuck with it's an Asian product, it's with Asians in it, so let's have Asian actors playing Asian parts. Ta-da!
Yeah.
Is when I start thinking about things like, if this is a success, and at the moment it's kind of 50-50, but if it is, then finally they're going to pull the trigger on Akira. And do I want to see a Channing Tatum, Keanu Reeves-led Akira, or do I want to see one with a bunch of, kids from Hong Kong or Neo Tokyo racing around Tokyo? I mean,
there's good news on that front, actually.
Excuse me.
Where Ghost in the Shell hasn't done as well as they expected it to, and I think it's because of a bit of the backlash as well. Did you read? There's a news article that went out. It was one of the major spokespeople for the company that actually created the film, the latest version of Ghost in the Shell, has said that they're rethinking their whole strategy on casting in future when it comes to stuff like this.
Which is nice, but again, the deal is, isn't that a bit like sort of suddenly going, oh, hang on, after everything's gone to hell? I mean, but hey ho,
it is
late by then, isn't it?
It's a bit too late, But
but it's if the lesson needs to be learned, if this is the only way they learn us, because let's face it, it's a business they're running, and all they're seeing is the cash coming in.
Yeah,
right. It's
only when the cash.
You yourself know this,
yeah.
Lee, being in the business. You know what it's like.
Not anymore.
Artistic integrity kind of goes out the window on a lot of things.
Oh, yes.
When it comes to sort of like spending big bucks on this. And, as much as a lot of people really like this anime in the West, this sort of big adaptation is still a risk as far as the film companies are concerned.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but but the whole thing speaks to a bigger issue in general. Yeah. But just, because again, I'm sure this discussion will roll over onto the Facebook group. So I'm
sure it will.
But all I was going to say was, for me, from my point of view, not knowing the anime that well and not knowing the new film that well, the only thing I would say is that they had, if they're going to take a massive risk, then why don't they just go the whole hog?
There is that argument. And just to clarify, I'm not saying that what they're doing is right, but I can see the reasoning there. I can see their mentality on it.
Yeah, and that's fine. I just at the moment, for me, I don't know enough to really comment on it. But the one thing that keeps coming back to me is if the creator doesn't have a problem and the story itself supports the narrative that she isn't going to look like an Asian person, then fine. Then as far as it goes, people don't have a leg to stand on. However, it turns out that isn't the case, and Major Shirao, or whatever her name is, I can't remember her name either, but
it's just Major. That's
but I'm sure that she had like a surname like Shirao or something like that in the anime. But again, it's been so long since I've seen the anime, I really can't say. But if she's portrayed in every version, comics, film, TV, all this stuff, as actually being Asian and being outwardly appearance Asian, then this whitewashing thing really does get deserve a kick in.
Indeed, where that's concerned, but it's just where the physical embodiment of the Major, as she appears at the start of that film, as in the character running through the entire film, is that supposed to be? Is the actual the android body that she's in? Is it Asian in appearance, or is it just not that? This is me. I'm trying to figure out whether it's an overreaction or whether it's a justified reaction, because we've seen an awful lot of overreaction from fans in the past about things.
Frankly, at this point, the internet is nothing but an overreaction machine, and it's very hard to work out when overreaction is actually just reaction. So, on that respect, I'd just say if anyone knows, there's obviously a lot of Ghost in the Shell fans out there, and I know for a fact there's at least half a dozen in the group. So, with the greatest of respect, perhaps you'd like to enlighten us non-Ghost in the Shell fans, on the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Blackdog podcast, and we'll take it from there.
It is a genuine question.
It is a genuine question. Because
I genuinely want to know the answer. I'm not trying to be funny about it or anything. I just want to know if this is a justified reaction to what's going on or not.
Because the other thing is, as I've personally discovered in recent months, you can't even ask the question without a problem happening. But we're asking the question with respect, asking for a respectful answer.
We have a lot of sensible people on the board, so I don't think it's going to be...
I think so. We had a discussion about...
I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's only if we took it out into the wilds and let that question loose. Run free! Free!
And then shut
on free as the wind blows.
It would be very much it'd be very much like the start of the Wolverine, with Logan sort of diving back down under his little hole and pulling the lid shut as a nuclear bomb goes overhead.
Yeah, but or even like Akira, where it just goes
pop,
and then the whole white bubble thing.
Yeah,
sort of just takes.
So yeah, we've managed our first successful test on the Facebook group. Dave Probert's staunch defence of Ghostbusters 2 didn't descend into a complete nightmare, so we can definitely have these conversations on the group.
Yep.
So ladies and gentlemen out there, if you're a Ghost in the Shell fan and you do know more about Ghost in the Shell than us, which is obviously demonstrated by the last 20 minutes of conversation, then do put it up on the Facebook group and just tell us, because it would be really nice to know and come from a position of knowledge and being informed, because that would be really handy rather than just what seems to happen whenever you ask a question, everyone just assumes you should know and then shouts at you. So
I don't want to stumble into some fucking internet site out there that's got an opinion that may be wrong. It's just like, there are going to be fans who have done more study than me, just 5 minutes on fucking Google.
Oh, there you go. So, anything else in your week, sir?
No.
Fantastic.
But if the question, if what I've just asked goes pear-shaped, it could be a very different story next week.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll be talking to you from a hidden secret location. Right. Yeah. Just, luckily the English Defence League will take you in and you'll be hiding in a shed.
Oh, beautiful.
No,
fantastic.
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
No, it's okay, mate. It's okay. Like I say, I have complete faith in the Facebook group not to completely descend into chaos. Please don't let me down. Anyway.
Do not disappoint me.
Do not disappoint me, Alan. Anyway, my week, I'll just skip over it really quickly. Basically, I've had enough of Mass Effect Andromeda. I finally kicked the bucket at 40%, and I said, enough. You have tarnished my memories and my love of the previous series enough. I have had it. Fuck you. Then they patched it, and I thought, I'll give you a bit more time. And it brought up a whole new, different set of problems. Where your robot character who follows you around talking in your head just won't shut up about emails that don't exist. That's just the worst. You run around the ship and it goes, you have new emails, Pathfinder. And you open the door and it goes, you have new emails, Pathfinder. And you go back to the email button and it goes, no emails. You go, right, okay, fine. You walk into a room, you have new emails, Pathfinder. You press another button, go onto a console. You have new emails, Pathfinder. You go into the flight mode and fly between planets. And every time it goes, you have new emails, Pathfinder. You fucking shut up! So, and then it gave me a level. Gave me a level which was on a plinth, 1,000 feet up in the air, and then you have to fight all these robots. And you're like, right, okay, fine. I'll fight all these robots, and if you destroy the robots, you can press a button and continue the mission that continues the story. And it turns out that if you knock the robots off the plinth, they don't count as dead. So, yes, and anyone who's played Mass Effect or Mass Effect Andromeda knows you have things like a very handy weapon called Push, where you can push things. And so, guess what? I pushed something, and it fell off the cliff. And so I couldn't carry the game on.
Beautiful.
So then it comes to the point where I go, right, okay, what do I have to do? EA's support staff say, oh, yeah, you just have to go back a save and don't push them off the cliff. And it's like, well, all my weapons are force powers. I can't do anything but push them off the cliff. Okay, I'm just going to have to use pistols. So I'm sitting there taking on something that is the size of a bus on legs, with guns and everything flying out of its arse, with a fucking pop gun. And I'm running around like a lunatic, and I'm just about to kill this thing. I have literally been screaming at the computer. I'm like, I can fucking die! Because I can't use any of my powers. I go to take the final shot, and one of my AI compatriots comes in and goes, push. Pushes it straight off the cliff. Doesn't register as dead.
Dies.
No, it doesn't register as dead. The story can't continue. It's like, and that was it. That was the final straw.
EA support sound like the iPod support or the iPhone support when they said, no, just hold it in your right hand, not your left hand.
Yeah, that's right. So I have no idea how the game will finish. And so then what I thought was just to finish it off, to make sure I'm completely never going back to it again. I took the disc out, I stuck that in the box that's sitting on the table now. I went and took the actual game itself on my Xbox and I deleted the fucker. And then I went on YouTube and I watched a complete playthrough and I figured out how the film and the story ends. And then, get to the very end of the story, they leave two cliffhangers. And you think, oh, right, this is going to be big cliffhangers, big story reveals. And they reveal two things, which if you've played the other 3 games, you would have worked out within 10 seconds. And I did. And I sat there thinking, I'm very, very, very glad I didn't spend another 40 hours to get to essentially 2 big mysteries, which if you're even remotely interested in this universe, you would have figured out. Absolutely. It's like
Did you read the credits
what?
For this game? Did you read the credits?
Yeah, why? What?
Didn't see the name Damon Lindelof written in there by any chance, did you?
I really hope I didn't, but but it really did feel like that. It literally felt like someone writing Star Wars Episode 8 and getting right to the very end, and then Luke Skywalker turning around and going, "You'll never guess who my dad is." It was literally like that. And I described it to Katie because she was a bit miffed. Well, it's not miffed, but she was certainly perturbed that I deleted Andromeda because usually I see these things through to the end. And she went, "Why?" And I said, and I explained the mystery to her, and she went, "Oh, it's that person." And I went, "Yes." So a 12-year-old who's not even played the 3 games before and has just watched me play a couple of bits of the 3rd game worked out the mystery of the 4th game just by me describing it to her.
Oh, right.
You will figure it out. You will figure
that. The person you're referring to is in the first 2 games. If it's the first 3 games, is that right?
Maybe.
I take it this person plays quite a major part in those 3 episodes. Yeah?
Maybe.
Is that right?
Maybe.
Ah, okay. Does this person have favourite things on rather large space stations?
No.
Oh, it's not that one then.
No.
Right, okay.
No. I mean, I could spoil it for you, but because it's not spoiled in the game, it's left as a mystery. I mean, if you want, I can do it. And if anyone doesn't want to listen to it, then they should stop right now. If you want. Do you want to know?
Is it important?
Possibly.
Is it...
I don't know what to tell you.
Is it going to be worth playing the game if I know this?
No, because I tell you what, you will have figured it out. You will have figured this shit out. But anyway, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you off air. I'll tell you off air when we pause it after this bit, right? Anyway,
right.
So moving on from that game that I will probably only ever play again if there's a Game of the Year edition with all the patches and bugs and everything taken care of, and it's £10. I went to France on Saturday, and you know what? It was lovely. Got up 7 o'clock in the morning, drove down to Dover, got on a ferry. We had a ticket that allowed us to get on a ferry anytime we wanted, so it was like brilliant. Jumped on the first ferry at 9 o'clock. We were on the ferry, go over to France. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. We're driving in France. Sun's out, beautiful sunshine. I've got a Google Translate app now, which actually, if I put my phone over a sign, actually does augmented reality and puts English words over things now.
Oh, they're good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. I literally was walking around a supermarket with my phone up like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, waving it over things like tins of beans and going, "That's beans, that is." That look, that I can tell you that's a box of croissants, and that's some bolognese tasting crisps. Look, I can tell you all these things. It was amazing. I literally wandering around like some kind of buffoon in a sort of alien land, having it all revealed to me by my mobile phone. But yeah, the Google Translate app now, if you allow it to access your phone camera, will actually augment reality text over the top of text it recognises.
There was an app called World Lenses, which I think they bought and then took it on board because it was so good. Yeah, and I use it at work because we use Spanish stuff with no English instructions, and so I use it for that.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, it's amazing. It literally was. Suddenly, I was in Star Trek. I was literally in the future, waving my phone over things like meringue and and signs that say "No dog poop here." And it was just like amazing. I can read everything. And anyway, so then it was like a proper one of those lovely sort of adverts you see for Parisian holidays. We're driving through green fields and tree-lined rural roads down to Saint-Omer, and we're going all over the place. And, you can almost hear, I was lost in France, in the trees the birds were singing. Anyway, we're doing all that. Go to the hypermarket on the way back, pick up some cheeses and breads and fine wines and lovely food, and it's brilliant. And we go all the way back home. We get to the ferry port, and the ferry person goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, you missed the last ferry." And it's like, "What?" And they're saying, "Oh yeah, the next one won't be for another hour and a half." And you've never seen four relaxed, newly acquired Parisian love people sitting in a car, blissed out on culture and everything else, and suddenly it turned into Mad Max in about 7 seconds flat. It was like, open the bread, open the food. We haven't got food. We're gonna die. We're gonna die here. It's the world's worst thing. Quick, let the kids out. Let them roam free. Maybe they can kill a deer. For an hour and a half.
Are you having to go via Clapham Junction by any chance? Because Clapham Junction is cursed, and I can imagine that's why you were having problems with the ferry.
No. We were stuck in France waiting for the ferry to turn up. And
but did your journey involve going through Clapham Junction at the other end? Because that's it's a cursed place.
Well, funny enough, then once we got back, it just turned into a nightmare because we literally came out of Dover, and we're driving up the road, and now it's like I don't know, it's about fucking 11:15, and it's like, oh god, we're really late now, really late. Driving up the road, everyone's asleep. All of a sudden, halfway up the A2, there's a sign saying, "Sorry, we closed the entire road for maintenance." And it's like, what?
Oh,
and so then it's like we're just outside of Canterbury, and then it's like a 40-minute journey through tiny little back streets and narrow little fieldy roads, between fields, looking for a route back to the A20. It's like, oh god. And you've got all these fucking open top motor car wankers coming up behind you, flashing their lights because you're doing 50 mile an hour down a tiny little narrow cobbled street, and they suddenly don't think that's fast enough. And yeah, cunts. By the end of it, I came back. I got to France. I was blissed out. I came back to London, and I wanted to kill every fucking one of you. Every one of you. Everyone need die. Everyone die. What else happened? Oh, I found the McConnehey Museum in Calais, which was different.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just a McConnehey museum. It was just like a museum full of Meccano, and there was not a lot to do apart from Meccano. You walk in there, there's Meccano, and lots of Meccano.
That is one of the most frustrating toys.
Well, exactly.
Construction things ever.
It was amazing because it was like after about 5 minutes, it was going in there, and it's like, oh look, there's the rocket from Tintin, and there's the International Space Station. Oh, there's an R2D2 they've made from it. And like they say, oh, well, here's some free plastic Meccano, play around with it, and whatever you make with it, you can take home. It's like, oh, okay, fair enough. And it was free to get in, and it was lovely. Anyway, Katie wanted to do some of the metal Meccano, have a little play around with it, and they give you like these little templates for showing your model, and then giving you all the parts that it took to make that model, and you can make it. And literally, between the two of us, to make what looked like an Easter chick took about as long as it took Jim to put up his blackout blind. And literally it was about 6 pieces.
This is DIY.
Yeah. This does class as DIY. And it took fucking hours to make what essentially was 2 pieces of yellow steel bolted together with some rubber grommets for eyes. It was like, it's just the most. By the end of it, I was like, no wonder you're getting fucking your ass kicked by Lego, you twats. I hate you all.
Can I just ask, seeing as you've actually created something, you've put something together, you used tools.
Yes.
Did you leave a smouldering building as you drove out of Paris?
No, but they can identify me by all the DNA I left around with all the blood everywhere.
Good stuff. Excellent. Nice to know you're not letting the side down.
No. I mean, it literally got to the point where I put my hand into a bag, or literally they had like little trays of all the parts, and I put my fingers in, and every single thing decided to go up in between my nails and my fingers. I don't know how it managed it. I mean, you know, these things were like the size of like house bricks, and yet somehow I always got a corner under the nail all the way through. It's like, fuck. So, yeah, and they seem to be having a documentary with James May on constant loop on a projector in the back, which is kind of weird as well.
Oh, didn't he do one of these workshops?
Yeah, exactly. So there I am sitting there with my kids and Carol and a bunch of other kids floating about, and then just every now and again you'd hear James May go, "Oh, cock." It's just like that's the way to do it. Well done. So there you go. So the McConnehey Museum, well worth a look. But yeah, P&O ferries on the last ferry home is hell on earth. So just bear that in mind. Do take arseless leather chaps and all the petrol you can bring to stave off the mutant hordes when you're up the front of the boat. Right, okay. Well then, speaking of mutant hordes and getting lost and things going wrong, should we do this week's film?
Yay!
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do After Hours. Right, so After Hours. Here we go, After Hours. After Hours is a 1985 black comedy directed by Martin Scorsese, written by Joseph Minion, and starring Griffin Dunne with an ensemble cast featuring such actors as Tommy Chong, Linda Florentino, Terry Garr, Cheech Marin, Rosanna Arquette, and Catherine O'Hara, who most people will probably remember as leaving Kevin behind in Home Alone, or the mum from Beetlejuice. The film follows Paul Hackett, portrayed by Griffin Dunne, as he experiences a series of misadventures while making his way home from New York City from the Soho district during the night. The film was, the film followed on from Last Temptation of Christ, which was produced by Scorsese, and it spurred him to focus on independent film companies and smaller film projects. The opportunity was offered to him by his lawyer, Jay Jullen, who put him through Griffin Dunne and Eamon Robinson's independent group Double Play Company. The project was called A Night in Soho, and it was based on a script by Joseph Minion. The screenplay originally was titled Lies, after 1982 Joe Frank monologue that inspired the story in the first place, and was written as a part of an assignment for his film course at Columbia University. Minion was 26 years old at the time the film was produced, and the script finally became After Hours after Scorsese made some final amendments. I'll go into a bit more of the production in a minute, but the budget was $4.5 million. And how much did it make at the box office, Darren?
I reckon it made around about 10 million at the most.
Okay. Jim?
6 million.
Elton?
3.
You can always tell what everyone thinks of the film just by how much they reckon it's going to make.
Yeah.
So, Darren's bang on the money. It made $10 million.
Fucking, I got it right?
Yep,
Jesus.
you did. Yeah, you did. The After Hours was the first film by Scorsese in 10 years which hadn't featured Robert De Niro. And the film grossed $10 million. That was not received well by audiences, and it was given positive reviews and considered an underrated film by many of the directors at the Cannes Film Festival. Excuse me. The reception. A radio artist, Joe Frank, later filed for a lawsuit claiming the screenplay had lifted his plot setup and portions of his dialogue from his monologue, especially from the first 30 minutes from his 1982 NPR Playhouse monologue. And although he never received an official credit, he reportedly was paid handsomely for a settlement. Reception. Roger Ebert gave After Hours a positive review, saying it was 4 out of 4 stars. He praised it as being one of the best of the film of the year, and said it continues Scorsese's attempt to combine comedy and satire with unrelenting pressure and a sense of all-pervasive paranoia. It holds a 90% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And New York Times' Vincent Carnby gave the film a mixed review and called it an entertaining tease with individually arresting sequences that are well acted by Dunn and others, but leaves you feeling somewhat conned by the end. So there you go. That's pretty much it. So I know you've seen it, Darren. It's a film you've seen, and you actually brought it up for a review. So I think you should go last, if that's all right. Seeing as it's
sure,
your
no problem.
film. Or maybe you should go first and defend it, and then we'll go from here, because I don't think any of the rest of us have seen it, have we?
I had seen it, actually. Once I actually watched it. Oh, yes, I remember this.
Ah, right, okay.
I had seen this before, yeah.
Okay, then. Well, I'll tell you what. Darren, you go first, then we'll do Jim, and then me and Elton will go last. How about that?
Yeah, sure.
He said...
It's the usual way of doing things, so why should we break with tradition?
Yeah, why not? I was just sounding like you were sneaking off for a cup of tea at that point.
No, I just leant over past the microphone. It's that usual thing where you catch me having a drink.
Nice.
Or something like that.
That's because I'm watching you on the Skype. I'm watching you, Darren.
Are you?
Yes. Put your pants back on, mate.
Okay, on my head. There we are.
There you go. That's better. Anyway.
Oh, God, no, take them off. That's really meaty.
Yeah, turn them round the other way, mate.
Yeah.
Front to back.
Oh, my word.
Anyway, right. Well, go on in. Dow, you've seen this film. You brought it up, so you go for it first. So what did you think of After Hours?
Okay. I still like the film. I've got to say, it's not something that how can I describe it? It's a film I've always liked. I've never been it's not like something I thought was the best movie ever, but I find that my liking for it hasn't changed. I still like it just as much as the first time I saw it. I think it's the quirkiness of the film that appeals to me. Some of the shots, like I know we've had a little bit of a comment about the whole money in the ashtray.
Yes.
Bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I just remember it flying out of his hand. I don't remember him actually putting it in the ashtray. And it's like, why the fuck did you do that for?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I think it's the over-the-top reactions of some of the characters. Like when he tells that cab driver he's lost the money, it's like, is there a bit in this where somebody pulls a gun on him that I don't remember? Because that's what he looks like he's about to do.
Yeah.
You know? But no, that bit was exactly as I remembered it. So that's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know what else to say about it.
Well, what did you think about the increasingly bizarre situations? I mean,
I like that.
I
like the fact that it goes from being just like he's met this girl. I mean, he wasn't exactly the nicest character in the film either.
No.
So really, in a way, the sort of treatment that he got, he fucking deserved.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he was a bit of a twat.
Yeah.
But then you look at the people that he comes up against, and they're not exactly, shall we say, model citizens themselves. You know?
Yeah, fair enough.
It's like Rosanna Arquette's character fucking switches on the flip of a coin through most of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, go on, carry on.
he doesn't exactly help the situation when it comes to the bit about the drugs. When he said that's a lie, and it's such a, it's like, whoa, steady on there, mate.
Yeah,
it's a bit of an overreaction from him.
Yeah, he does. No, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to let you carry.
No, comment.
Well, I mean, as far as it goes, he's an absolute atypical selfish cock throughout most of it.
Well, he is, even at the beginning when that bloke's trying to talk to him at the desk.
Yeah,
and his attention kind of wanders.
Yeah, and
then gets up and leaves.
Yeah, and so that's not the best place to start from. And then when she's dead, and he still decides to cop a look. It's like, what? You really? Are you serious?
That bit started getting a bit uncomfortable. I must admit, I'm sitting there watching it. It's like, hold on, what's he doing?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't. It's like, is there some dodgy sex scene in this that I don't remember?
Yeah.
Well, it's because a sculptor friend says she's got these horrible burns and scars. That's why I assumed he was looking.
Yeah, but
even so, it's still bloody weird.
It is creepy.
I mean, it's not the first thing that would leap to mind if I found someone who'd OD'd on pills and what have you. I wouldn't be sitting there thinking, oh, you know what? I wonder what she's got on the inside of her thigh. It's like, no, not really. I've seen a couple of, I've seen a couple of people who are either exceptionally unwell or possibly dead, and never has it occurred to me at any point in any time have I ever thought during those moments, you know what? I better get a look at their junk.
He didn't do the Ben Affleck thing of getting the animal crackers and going into the wilderness.
No, you weirdo.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He's talking about Armageddon with the fucking animal crackers on Liv Tyler.
Yes, the animal crackers. Yes.
Oh, yes. That was romance right there. That's what if you're gonna save the world and you're gonna take the piss, then you might as well just do it then with animal crackers.
Will it go into the mountains in the north or down into the woods in the south?
Yeah, or possibly into the bush. Anyway. Never mind.
Easy.
If there's one part of this film that I wasn't particularly, apart from the whole fucking
necrophilia,
let's cop a look, sequence.
Yeah.
It's the very end of the film. It just seems like the bit where he's kind of like after he's been put in the paper mache by that woman. It's the way it gets him on the truck by them breaking into a house to get the statue, and it just doesn't make any sense.
No. Not really.
And it's like, it's as if he kind of, I don't know, it's like he ran out of time.
Yeah.
Or got bored and just thought, and then they broke in and then took him in the truck and then the end.
Yeah, exactly. And then I had some tea and then I went home. Yes, exactly, yeah. Yeah. So at the end of the day, did you actually like this film, or did you just?
Yeah, I still like it. I like it for its quirkiness. It brought to mind a little bit, because it's set at night. Most of it, it kind of made me think of Escape from New York, from some of those bits where Snake Plissken is sneaking through the streets and there's nobody else there. It put me in mind of that, and also The Warriors as well.
Okay.
But, The Warriors is filmed there. I think it was filmed sort of like within a few years of that anyway.
Right. Warriors was 78 or 79, I believe.
Oh.
What year was this one?
85. Yeah, Warriors was 1979. This was 1985.
So New York very much
still a shithole.
Yeah.
They didn't clean it up until Jason Voorhees had his rampage, I believe.
In 1989.
Yeah. And then they got rid of all the toxic waste lying around in the street, making blind men into vigilantes and causing turtles to eat pizza. And...
Yeah. Yeah. New York, the mutant haven of North America. Anyway, yeah. So overall, you still think it's quirky and you still find it fun.
I still find it good to watch. Yeah, like I say, it's not a laugh out loud comedy.
Right.
It's a very uncomfortable in places. It's very uncomfortable to watch just because, especially when Will Patton is there as Horst.
Yeah.
And it's like, Linda Fiorento is tied up against the post, and then suddenly he appears.
Yeah. I just... Okay.
As the boyfriend. And it's that whole deadpan look about him as he's saying to him, "That wasn't very nice what you did earlier."
Yeah.
And you can feel the fear in Griffin Dunn's character.
Yeah. Not surprised, to be honest. But yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, still I still enjoy it. I still enjoy watching this.
Okay. Fine. Cool. Excellent. Right. Well, okay then. Well then, Jim, you have seen this film before, so what about you, sir? What do you think of it?
Well, this is a curious one because actually I had pretty much the same reaction to this movie as I did when I first saw it. And that was kind of I can see what it's trying to do, but it doesn't quite land it for me. I think, as one of the critics said, it has some great moments in it, but it is less than the sum of its parts, I find. Now, when I first saw it, I was quite a big Scorsese fan. I think what kind of throws me at this, it doesn't look like a Scorsese film. It's kind of, the way he directs it, it's kind of, it's filmed kind of in a way that is kind of so typically like 80s American comedy. The way the shots are composed. Apart from, the only sort of Scorsese-ness of it is this strange sort of subterranean New York hellhole sort of setting it's in.
Yeah.
Which I do understand, you're joking aside, pre-cleanup, there's a lot of very, very grim neighborhoods in New York. And there's, you can see it in some more serious films that filmed, like the first Driller Killer, that's filmed guerrilla style. And the first Basket Case, you can actually see kind of how absolutely sleazy and run down and really kind of like, Christ, this place was turning into the cursed earth. It's a good job they did clean it up. But it's kind of, so the grammar of the film is setting you up for something kind of like Gung Ho or Mr. Mom, or you know what I mean, one of those other sort of bit quirky but light-hearted American comedies. And interesting, at the same year as this, there was another film called Into the Night with Jeff Goldblum.
Right.
Which is a similar premise of a man meets a strange girl and then but this time he's running all around LA and getting into weird situations.
Right.
And then later someone did sort of make a typical 80s American comedy, more on very similar lines, Adventures in Babysitting.
Yeah, and then I was going to say there was the Blake Edwards one with Bruce Willis and Kim Basinger, Blind Date,
yeah.
Which I actually still have a soft spot for, but I haven't seen in bloody years, so that's probably gone downhill a bit as well by the time I see it. But I always remember John Larroquette getting slowly and slowly more and more insane in that film.
That's right, yeah.
But so maybe we should throw that on the docket if I can find it.
That would be interesting to go back to because I've not seen that for years either.
Yeah.
What's that? Adventures in Babysitting?
No,
Blind Date.
Kim Basinger and Bruce Willis.
Yes, we went to the pictures to see that.
We did. When someone, in fact, thinking about it, it starts off with a really horribly creepy premise of isn't it John Larroquette's ex-girlfriend is Kim Basinger, and then he basically lets Bruce Willis know that she gets wild when she's had a couple of drinks. Mm-hmm. And so so in a really creepy fashion, he decides to give her some drink, and then she doesn't just get wild; she goes off the rails entirely. And then that's when the whole night turns into a nightmare. But actually, the more I think about it, the more I think, oh God. But anyway, so maybe we'll throw that on the docket if I can find it. But anyway, go on. Sorry, carry on, Jim.
Yeah, so it has this sort of strange vibe of being kind of a lot of the way the film's moving, the way it's shot. It's like the money flying out the cab window. Is going, hey, this is slapstick, sort of silly, frothy, slightly quirky kind of comedy, which was kind of so that kind of offbeat comedy was kind of very big, I think, in the 80s. Certainly in America. Yeah. But at the same time, you've got this kind of there's a nightmarish quality to it. I mean, I don't know if everyone else has, but I do have this kind of, it's not a recurring dream, but it's like a set of dreams I have where I'm trying to get somewhere. It's often somewhere like simple, just across town. Yeah. And you just can't get there and you have to go, the roads are blocked for bizarre reason. You have to meet weird people and it sort of has the feel of that. But the thing is with this one, it has some sort of great moments. I mean, and as quite a really good cast, like a good ensemble cast of, you got Terry Garr in there, who's probably my favourite of the nut jobs he meets. Yeah, and but at the same time, it's kind of I found with this film, and I felt this the first time, it either needs to play up the funny more, or go darker. Yeah, and it's in that sort of category. It's a black comedy, which I read as shorthand as meaning it's a comedy that isn't very funny. Yes, and for me, it's kind of it's just sort of sat on a line. It's kind of if you just nudge it one way or the other, it would click, but it just doesn't quite do it. I say there's some great moments. I said I didn't not enjoy watching it, but it never quite totally adds up for me. This movie. I think, if it just went a bit further, yeah. For me, I mean, I think you would have something that could be, very funny and, quite dark as well. But I think it's lacking that real element of threat. Yeah. And there's a kind of a hint that kind of, it's, it is Griffin Dunn's fault because he's an absolute dick and he deserves all of this. But it never quite develops that. I mean, I recently rewatched a film, a British horror movie called Creep. And that has a rather nice kind of social subtext to it, that the lead character in that, the heroine, when you meet at the start, she's a complete cow. Is that a socialite yuppie? And by the end of the film, at the other end, she's been mistaken for a homeless person, the kind of person she's despised throughout the film. Yeah. And there's a dark sort of ironic justice to that. Yeah. I was going to say, because there's two films called Creep, isn't there? And one of them is the one that's in the subway with Franca Potente. That's the one, yeah. That's the one. I've seen that twice, and I remember watching that on Film 4 and not knowing what the hell it was. And then by the end of it, I'm like, I've literally gnawed my fingers down to the bone. It was like, yep. Behind you, run. There's lots of that.
It makes you look at underground stations differently as well when you're travelling through those later fucking night. That and American Werewolf in London.
Maybe we should do
those two films.
Maybe we should do shit goes down on the underground season. Midnight Murder Meat Train or whatever the hell it was as well.
Midnight Meat Train.
That's the one. Yeah, Midnight Meat Train. Anyway, sorry, carry on, Jim.
TFL month, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Shit underground month. Yeah.
But yeah, so anyhow, it's kind of, for me, I did not enjoy it. I think it's an interesting film, but it's one of those. It's kind of Scorsese didn't kind of nail that sort of black comedy the way he had it with the King of Comedy a couple of years earlier. Yeah. And whether he was trying to do something a bit more, I don't think he was trying to be more mainstream, but it sort of almost had that sort of feeling that he was going that way, and it just didn't quite work.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was to do with the fact that, like I say, basically Paramount dumped him after he lost so much money on Last Temptation of Christ. And
this was before Last Temptation, though.
I thought it was after.
No, it's before, because Last Temptation of Christ, I think, is 89, and this is 85.
Oh, well, did they dump him, or did they stop him from doing? Yeah, I don't know what there was a whole thing.
I know he'd been trying to make it for years, so maybe
they dropped him and he didn't get it made
because he did this. Then after this, he did one of my favourite films, The Colour of Money, immediately after it. And it comes at a really odd place, and it is kind of like it's a weird sort of misstep for him, and it's kind of, I'm not entirely sure what he was trying to do.
Just knock out a really quick comedy by the looks of it, because I mean, it does feel rushed, especially what Darren was saying about the end. But anyway, so carry on.
I enjoyed the revisit, but I say it's a film I more class as interesting. And for me, never quite adds up. I mean, again, this is actually a film you could remake and just either nudge it one way or the other, and you'd probably get a pretty decent new movie out of it. So
yeah, nice. Okay, cool. Right. Well then, let's move on then. Elton.
Yep. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I start?
At the beginning.
I didn't like this at all.
No.
I'm glad Jim touched on the nightmarish feel on that, because that is what I had all the way through this. It is. I've had these dreams as well where once you wake up from your dream, you feel like something has not been accomplished, which should have been. And what I was watching for 90 minutes was a guy just running from point A to point A again, and then back to point A.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating to watch. You know, he wasn't accomplishing anything. He wasn't doing anything. Nothing was getting done. And I felt there was no passage of time either. It was just night. That was it. It was just night. You didn't have anything really completed during it for me. And it just left me frustrated. I felt there was Scorsese, maybe he got a new dolly for Christmas. I don't know, because there was a fucking lot of dolly shots in this, and it to the point where, hang on, there's another dolly shot. Why am I noticing that? Oh, that's right, because there's too many. What the hell's going on?
Yeah,
it just bugged me. It bugged me so fucking much, and it also annoyed me that London isn't awake 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
because there's coffee bars, there's pubs and bars open, there's bus stations, there's tube stations open at crazy o'clock in the morning over there. And when we go out, we all have to be out by 11 because everyone has to shut their doors. Fuck off, you bastards. But yeah, I didn't really grasp any of the characters, really. I felt Paul Hackett was just a bit of a clumsy dick all the way through it. I don't think his heart was in the wrong place, but he was just led astray by idle hands sometimes, or just his groin led him to places.
Yes.
I felt that the meeting of Paul and Marcy, was quite a nice way of them getting together over a book and over something in common that they could talk about. And I thought that was a really nice way of doing it. And then all of a sudden it's, okay, I want to see you later. Okay, right, as soon as I get home, I'm going to phone you and sort this out. And now I need to go over there and do ya, because, you know, I'm a male and need to get this out of my system. And it just felt forced. Yeah. And okay, can't you just phone up tomorrow and sort it out for tomorrow? Why do you have to go all the way over town now? It just
she asked him. She asked him to come over.
No, but he phones her up.
He phones her up looking for that. He phoned looking for it. But that's the reason why he phoned. He was looking for that.
Yeah.
If he hadn't made the call, then she wouldn't have asked him.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he was looking to speak to the girl who was the artist who was doing the.
Oh,
the
come on.
That was if something went down on the phone and it didn't go right. Okay,
but
well,
he didn't say I want to speak to Marcy.
No,
she just went, "Oh, you're a friend of Marcy's. I'll put her on." And it's like, oh, all right. That bit to me,
I don't know. Wasn't that his ultimate aim in it anyway?
That to me was that was just the he just started that was the whole part of the problem was the whole sort of I'm calling up about a bagel paperweight. I hear you do brilliant bagel paperweights. It's like, really? That's that's you're in, is it?
Yeah.
Oh man.
But at that time, we still don't know what the time is.
No. No, it's 11:40 something. Because he looks at his watch.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, don't worry about it. Carry on.
Well, we don't get any more progression of time, though, do we?
No.
Not
Only
really.
only that he says it's going to take about 40 minutes or so to get to her. But that's about it.
We have the train thing, and it goes over midnight, doesn't it? Oh,
that's
fucking hell! That's all my fucking ideas gone out the window.
Oh no! Is it all gone wrong? Has it all gone wrong?
Yeah, it has gone wrong because it just fucking annoyed me. I just felt I was watching a guy just running, a headless chicken, running left to right, no point, and nothing was accomplished, and it just fucking jarred me.
Yeah.
The him being put in a plaster cast as well. It was just getting a bit too slapstick by that point, and it just lost its way. People running around in vans. All of a sudden, the whole city wants to murder him.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, he hasn't actually killed anyone. I know he's been caught in a situation, and he's been in a room where a body was there, but at any point he could have just gone home and forgotten about absolutely everything and denied everything.
I will be honest. There is a question which kept coming to mind. I mean, I've only been in New York once, but I mean, couldn't he have just walked?
Well, that's what I thought.
Well, he was going to do that. He did say, I'm just going to walk home.
But then he keeps finding reasons not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's raining a bit.
Yeah.
And he hasn't got 30 cents.
No.
Oh, he hasn't got any fucking sense.
Yeah.
It just really annoyed me. I didn't enjoy this one bit.
No.
Really didn't. And not because I don't think it's a bad film per se. It got my heckles up, and I didn't like that at all. And at the end, I felt that it's not an hour and a half wasted. It was just an hour and a half that wasn't spent very well.
Okay.
Well, sometimes you can watch a film and you just think, oh, God, that was a waste of time.
Yeah.
But you don't get anything out of it. I got an emotion out of this, and it was just an emotion I don't enjoy having. And so it wasn't spent very well. Just fucking didn't like it. Stupid fucking film.
Okay. So, so not keen then, is what you're saying?
Pencil me in as a no.
Well, I've got to be honest with you. I'm not far off that, actually. I watched it last night, and everything felt forced. I mean, going back to things like Adventures in Babysitting and even like Home Alone, or or like Escape from New York, or The Warriors, or any of those kind of Stranger in a Strange Land kind of storylines. It always kind of escalates in a natural way, and you always feel like one thing leads to another, which leads to another, which leads to another, and the key being that there is no way out of that situation. The character always has to go forward because there's no way going back, because they are literally locked into a path that they've just got to see through. But the problem with this film is you've always got in the back of your mind, he could just walk off, and there is no reason for him to be going through any of this shit whatsoever. I mean, apart from the fact he's an utterly loathsome human being from the start, And so that immediately puts you on the side of, well, whatever happens to him, fucking good luck, basically. But the other problem is, it does this whole convoluted thing of, he gives the keys to the barman, and he goes off to the guy's house, and then he goes to the guy's house. Then for no discernible reason, he just takes his time in the toilet and wanders down the stairs, and then has a conversation with the guys at the bottom of the stairs, and they then have to say, "Oh, you're a criminal," and he's like, "No, I've got the guy's keys." But instead of saying, "No, I've got the guy's keys," he has to go, no, I'm a friend of Tim's, Tim," and they're like, "Well, what is his surname?" And it's like, well, I don't know his surname. You just got to say, "No, I've got his keys. Look, I'm here. Tim's let me in. Thanks very much. Goodbye," and just walk past them. And it just seems like the guy had. It's the old horror thing of when you go down the stairs and something says, "Don't go in the cellar," and they walk into the cellar. You're sitting there, literally doing a hand forehead slap so hard that you actually feel your spine come out the bottom of your ass, because it is just like, why are you doing this? Really? And I know that things have to happen, otherwise you don't get a story. But if they happen naturally, or they feel like they're happening naturally, I mean, take for example, Ex Machina. He ends up in a really weird, isolated situation, but the situation starts from one point and escalates up in a way that you kind of think, well, yeah, of course, that's why he's there. That's why he's doing these things, and these things are going to happen like this, because the poor sod's in a situation that he's got no control over. And yet in After Hours, you come away with feeling like he realises that him and Rosanna Arquette are not going to get along right from the off. And so rather than just saying, "Look, I'm sorry, I've got to go, thanks very much," he decides to run away, and then rather than just keep running in a straight line and getting home in about half an hour, what he does is he turns around and finds some convoluted reason because he thinks someone's robbed her house, to go back to her house and say, "Hey, someone's robbed your house." It's like, no. You've already shown yourself to be a complete and utter dick. So why would you suddenly feel like someone stealing a papier-mâché model is going to be like the reason to go back to a situation that was so clearly wrong from the off?
Yeah, just walk away.
Just at that point, walk away. You've done a bad thing by basically just upping sticks and fucking off, and really you should have done that a lot earlier. But now the film just goes, how can I make him go back? We'll just have something random happen, and he'll just suddenly get a prick of conscience. And then he does this whole thing of calls the police. So if you call the police, then don't leave the fucking crime scene and leave a load of tissue paper lying about saying "dead body here, dead body here, dead body here." There is no reason to leave that house right then, right there, done. And it just seemed like there was no natural flow to the story. There was literally, as that one of the reviewers says in the wiki, it was individually there were sequences where you sat there and went, "That's really quite cool," or creepy, or weird, or funny. But you never felt like you went naturally from one to the other. You literally just went, "Oh, this bit happened, and then he had to go." Why? Because he had to go. Okay. He just wants to go home. Okay. And then he walked to this house, and this lady would just constantly annoy him. She just ran into him and cut his arm, and now she just wants to annoy him because she's fucking nuts. It's just like, and there seem to be so many people who just randomly he walks up to and just runs in. I mean, if nothing else, Martin Scorsese often is cited as being a guy who loves New York. He loves it. He loves to show New York off. He loves to show the New Yorkers in the way they are and the way they interact. But this film just made New Yorkers look like self-obsessed arseholes who all want to just talk about themselves, and to the detriment of everyone and everything around them, even if people are dying. It's just like he runs up to the guy in the park at whatever time in the morning and goes, "Can you help me?" And the guy goes, "I haven't done this before." It's like, as soon as he says that, you should immediately have just gone, no, thanks for your help, cheers, no, don't worry, I'm off. You don't go back to the guy's house. And I think the fact that I'm even thinking this way means that as a comedy, even a slapstick one, it's failed. Because comedy and comedy situations should get more and more ludicrous, and you should just be along for the ride. You shouldn't be sitting there going, that guy is quite clearly cruising. Why are you going back to his house? Or this lady here is off her nut, and she's talking about ice cream vans while you're trying to find a telephone number. And it's just like, so just leave then, right now. Yeah, and it just seemed like all it just kept doing was just giving you a parade of arseholes that were as bad, if not worse, than Griffin Dunn's character. And somewhere along the line, you're supposed to find a humour in it. And then by the end of it, it was like a fucking serial killer movie with him being sort of like Tales of the Unexpected, being wrapped up in papier-mâché. And I'm like, so what's that all about? And then he just ends up dumped outside his own office and it's back to normal again. It's like, okay, so is this Yuppie Nightmare or is this a comedy? And if it's a comedy, it's not very funny.
No, the punchline wasn't fulfilling of what you'd had before. I didn't find it very funny anyway, but obviously there was a comedy aspect to it, but the punchline with him being dumped there just didn't fit as to what you had prior to that.
No, it was...
Do you know what the alternative ending was to this? The original ending?
That he just ends up stuck in there forever.
Yeah, that's it. But the audiences rejected it.
Well, to be quite honest, the reply to that
I think I would have preferred that ending.
I would have preferred that, and then maybe you would have found out that the original papier-mâché had a person in it as well.
Yeah, because there was that whole thing with Linda Florentino saying, "Oh, I took care of my ex-husband." You know, and there he is. He's the corpse he's a corpse inside, sort of with his hands up, looking like he's being about to be struck down. But that's the thing. It's like, so by the end of it, you're not left with a memory of comedic situations. You're left with the thought that there is a rampaging mob, and an ice cream van looking for him. There's the guy who said that they were actually supporting him. He was actually supporting him and say, "Oh, look, don't worry. My girlfriend's died." I mean, all that sort of weird, farcical connections. It's like, "Oh, my name's Franklin. My surname's Franklin." You see it coming from a mile off. My girlfriend's just died from an overdose of pills. And it's like, even just Griffin Dunn doing that, not making a connection between the keys, the tattoo that he creepily looks up on the inside of Rosanna Arquette's thigh, and then the fact that same symbol is all over that pub. And it's just like, you didn't make that connection. And, and I don't know, to me it just seemed like all the way through it could have been renamed Griffin Dunn Observes Nothing. Because he just didn't see anything. He didn't see any problems coming. And we're supposed to just accept that he literally runs backwards and forwards 20 times across the same block.
You know nothing, Griffin Dunn.
Exactly. You know nothing, Griffin Dunn. And instead of walking in a straight line for half an hour and going home, he elects to go backwards and forwards on essentially on a bunch of video game fetch quests throughout the evening. It's like, go here and get the keys, and you will bring back this key, and I will give you this key. Brilliant. Okay. Oh, I've been interrupted by this 50s hairdo lady who's just randomly saying, "Help me, I'm in a burnt-out job." And it's like, oh, right, okay, what is this? Is this like Pulp Fiction? We're going to find Zed and Zed and Butch down in the basement while a gimp goes and beats them up with a fucking pool cue or something. And it was just so odd and weird. There were bits of it I liked. There was sections of it that on their own I liked. But as a whole, it was just a comedy written by people who don't know how to write comedy. It was just, there was no natural flow of situation. Even the fucking Naked Gun has a police procedural underneath it, so that as the crazy shit happens, you go from point A to point B to point C to point D in a flow. It feels natural that this crazy stuff is escalating up. This just felt like someone went, wouldn't it be funny if he went back to the house and his girlfriend had died? And then okay, they just write a little script about that. Wouldn't it be funny if he went to a Mohawk pub? Oh yeah, let's just write that then. Wouldn't it be funny if he got mistaken for a burglar when the two burglars have been going round in a van? Oh, yeah, that's true. And then someone got them all on Post-it notes and they just wrote, and then on different Post-it notes and put them in between the Post-it notes. It was just so bitty and tonally all over the place. I just couldn't settle into it. And if it just turned into a thriller, I would have been happy. If it turned into a comedy outright, I would have been happy. But it didn't seem to know what it wanted to be. It wanted to be a thriller. It wanted to be a weird David Lynch type fucking,
That's what it felt like. Yeah.
Belly up, look at the Americana, dark heart of Americana. It wanted to be that, and then it wanted to be a comedy, and then it wanted to be a road movie. Then it wanted to be like a nihilistic yuppie nightmare. And then, but at no point did it settle on any of this. It just went, bleh. Here's a scene, and then here's another scene, and then here's another scene. And none of those scenes related to each other at all. Just, wouldn't it be funny if? Write it down on a Post-it note. But, so I'm glad after all that, I'm glad I've seen it. I'll be honest with you, I'm glad I've seen it. However, I probably won't be watching it ever again. In a nutshell.
You don't say.
Nah. I mean, I can appreciate the absurdity of it, but I've seen films which do that thing. As I say, The Stranger in a Strange Land, comedy of errors. I've seen that so many times, done in so many different formats, right down to bloody Raiders of the Lost Ark with Indy running around like, was it Marrakesh, sort of running into different people who are trying to give him a monkey, and then he's having to fight people, and then it gets more and more ludicrous until the Nazis step in. I mean, it's essentially the same job. It's the same gag. It's the same, I'm here. How did I end up here fighting Nazis in a fucking souk? It's the same deal. But, I don't know. It just, to me, it just, it kind of, it was an admirable failure, I think, is probably the best way of, saying it. I thought it was good in terms of seeing it and having a little bit of extra knowledge, but I won't be watching it again. Are we all done?
I think so. I did like Terry Garr in it, though.
Well, again, she was good in it. I mean, that's the thing. All the acting was good in it, but every single person in it seemed to be acting in a completely different film. Was it an Andrew McCarthy, Kim Basinger, frothy 80s comedy about mismatched lovers, or was it a sort of, like I say, a fucking David Lynch, Dennis Hopper, fucking Carl McLachlan, Blue Velvet style Americana nightmare? What was it? But everyone,
it just felt like a quest movie set in a real dystopian type era, and the only way you can get that is put it in New York at night in the 80s. Yeah, that's your best bet. Yeah. And I think you're right when you say it's like a quest movie where you have to go fetch the key to open the gate and to get through this place, because sometimes you get frustrated when you go to that gate and it's locked again, like the pub was.
Yeah,
and it was just okay, right, you're waiting for that pub to open. Just keep yourself next to the window and have a look. It's really easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you order a cab and you wait at the window to see when the cab turns up. Not just it might turn up when I look at it next time. No, you just keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, you stupid fucking idiot.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like all the way through, you're just sitting there going, "This could all be solved really quickly if you just stayed still."
Mm.
You know, or, you know, just stay in that bar and just say to the guy, look, okay, I'll look after the bar for you, or lock up the bar and I'll stay here. You know, I can't go anywhere. You know, anything. You know, or the bloke just says, you know, oh, well, I can lend you $20. And it's like, brilliant, can you? Yeah, fine. And then there's that whole thing of him beating up the cash register. And it's like, straight away, that's a wrong one.
Walk out.
The guy's
just
nuts.
walk out.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, thanks very much. That's it. Done. Done a wrong one. Thanks. I mean, it's just straight away. And, you know, that's the problem. All the way through, this guy's got such a lack of knowledge or awareness. And the fact that he's such an absolute scumbag at the beginning, you're just like, this is just like, you know, Lord of the Rings conquest. I mean, it's just I'm just watching an awful person go between awful people being awful and not realising how awful it is.
Why did he go back to work?
Fuck knows. Why?
That's why I know it forms that perfect circle of, well, you start your mission here and you end your mission here and you really haven't accomplished anything. And it's just, I don't get it. I don't understand why.
No.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. But then most of this film doesn't. That's the thing. Everything about this film just says, you know, shit happens. And it's like, that's lovely and everything, but I don't just accept shit happens.
Do you know, I would accept him getting back to work or ending up at work if he had a problem with work. But it wasn't really him who had a problem with work. It was the guy who he was teaching.
Yeah, which didn't really amount to much either.
No. But if he'd had a problem with work and then in the end you end up at work back where you started and you try and start again. And okay, fair enough. There's some type of tying up a little bow there, completed. But you didn't really get that.
No, and the other thing is with that whole thing, you know, you're just left with more questions than you answer. At the end of the day, you're supposed to think, oh, thank goodness his days, his nightmare is over. But you've still got a whole thing of him being placed on the scene of a suicide, and you've still got him placed on the scene of, you know, a number of robberies. I mean, he's gonna go to jail one way or the other by the end of that day.
Can I just say, I've been reading the trivia about the movie.
Yeah.
And apparently, this film was an extra 45 minutes long.
Was it?
Yeah, when they did the first cut of it.
Right.
So I don't know whether anything in that would have made the film any better for you at all, but.
Well,
yeah, there's a whole chunk.
He probably went back to the pub again.
Went
back to the flat again.
Went back to Terry Garr. Went back to Terry Garr again just so she could finish off the portrait of him. I mean, to be quite honest, if there was more in it and the connective tissue between the, shall we say, because there's very clear scenes, but
yeah, if
there was better connective tissue, I probably would accept it because, you know, quirky and weird is fine, and as I said, you know, Lynchian melodrama is good. You know, Yuppie Nightmare visions and all that kind of stuff. That's all cool, but if you don't feel like you're going from scene to scene to scene, I mean, it just, with any kind of progression, all it felt like was literally like, it's like watching a scene on BBC One, flicking to Channel 4, watching a scene on that show, then flicking to Channel 5, flicking on a scene with that show and going, how do these three interact? And all you do is, and then they went to Albert Square, and then they went to Hollyoaks, and then they went to the Big Bang Theory. Why? I don't know. Fucking just did. But here's a scene from the Big Bang Theory, EastEnders and Hollyoaks. And that's the thing that really did it for me. If it had just progressed, I would have been a lot happier. But it didn't. It just went, and then they went into a really weird, invite only place. Why? Because he just could. Okay.
that didn't.
Why did he dance with the lady? Because he wants something nice to happen to him. Why did the guy who owned the place let the bad people in when he knew it was all going wrong? Why didn't he call the police when he had clearly a mob outside? And that's the problem. If you're sitting there trying to work out the logic of a comedy, your comedy's failed. Right there. If you're sitting there going, why is William Shatner behind that door which looks like a TV? If you're doing that, your comedy's failed. Your comedy's not working. If you're sitting there going, why haven't they fired Frank Drebin yet? He's pretty fucking shit as a policeman. It's failed. and that's the thing. I'm sitting there all the way through this just going, why didn't he just call the fucking police? Why didn't he walk away from that clearly crazy lady? Why didn't he just go home? Anyway, sorry.
Or why didn't he just wait for the police?
Yeah, or why
deal with that way and see if they could get him home afterwards.
Exactly. Why didn't he just wait with the suicide victim that he called in and just wait there? Why? Why did he feel the need to leave and go and tell his, the flatmate who he had no relationship with whatsoever? Why? Why did he feel the need to go and do that? Why did he feel the need to give her a massage and then she falls asleep for no discernible reason, only to have Rosanna Arquette come in and go, "What did you do to her?" It's like, it just seemed like it was just cool. You might as well have just renamed this New Yorkers Be Crazy, Man. And that would have been it. New York, they be crazy. But anyway, there you go. So, anybody got anything else to add? Because I'm talking myself around in circles now.
Yes, where I feel like I'm going as well. Because, no, I'm going to stop.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Let's have some feedback then, shall we?
Yes,
let's do that.
Now put your hands up, here online, doing real fine. We're doing our podcast thing. It's called Blackdog, it's not like a joke. Is anyone there listening? What do you think of our show? Let us know by MP3 or email. Just get it to us, it ain't no fuss. We'll even read your Twitter rings. Cause if you like us or you hate us, send some feedback in. Got a geek report to raise and put some feedback in. If you think my voice is sexy, put some feedback in. Man, we really like it if you put some feedback in.
Right, okay, so feedback time. And so we are starting off with the feedback with a message from the science deck of the USS Blackdog, Mr. Gary, Mr. Spock Madden. And he writes, Cream Sleeves Bagel feedback. Right. Greetings, various and sundry Blackdog rule and the bagel sculptor, Mr. Owl.
Where are you?
Fuck him. Oh, there he is. This week kicked off with a trip to Tucson, Arizona, which meant passing through Commander Wolf's security checkpoint. The old wrinkled head is getting a bit cranky in his old age. Before I boarded my plane, he insisted I be given the once-over by a bum-sniffing dog. I asked if he meant bomb-sniffing dog, but he assured me he didn't. Now I can assure everyone aboard the USS Blackdog, not only is my carry-on luggage safe for air travel, so is my colon. Anyway, I'm hoping for... Well, you did better than most United Air passengers.
Oh.
Little bit of politics there. Yeah. Anyway.
I've flown United. Not just exaggerating, I'll tell you. Shocking.
You're not flying United. You just beaten into submission. Even
if you do fly United, they won't get you there. That's my experience with the cunts. Well,
nice.
It's a different story.
Oh, well, don't worry. They've only lost 1 point something billion off their shares, so it's all good.
Rightly so.
Anyway, Gary continues. I'm hoping a week of 80-degree plus weather, sunshine amongst the palms of the cacti will erase any trauma. Anyway, on to this week's film. After Hours was a mystery monocle for me. I'd run across it innumerable times in the past, and I think just about every rental venue I ever had a membership card to had multiple copies of it cluttering up their shelves. I couldn't go anywhere without seeing Griffin Dunn's twisty head leering at me. When I finally looked at the dust cover, I felt a sense of hope. It had a good cast, and of course there was Scorsese directing. So how could it go wrong? Well, in pretty much every way when you get right down to it. At first I figured it was one of those, because I'm big in Hollywood, that's why films, you know, like Brando and Kilmer let run amok in Island of Dr. Moreau, or Cecil B. DeMille was allowed to make his plotless and arse-numbing greatest show on earth. That was before I realised being relegated to such a small film was actually Scorsese's punishment for the bomb that was Last Temptation of Christ. When you get right down to it, isn't it a little ironic that we're feeding back on a film that came out of Scorsese's time in purgatory for murdering the Christ child in a box office on the week before Easter? I don't know, maybe it's just my inner conspiracy theorist talking. Yeah, well, you see, I am part of the Illuminati. I have organised all of this for years in advance. Anyway, Gary continues. What did I think of After Hours then? Well, in short, I think it was the coke directing. There was moments when I could see Scorsese's genius peeking through the nonsensical gruel of a script. I liked the way he shot some of the rainy Soho streets outside Marcy's apartment and the exteriors of Tom's bar. But the plot, if it can be called that, is utter tripe. I mean, Scorsese was born in Queens, New York, but he apparently lives in a world where women who make plaster cream cheese bagel paperweights can afford a $10 million Soho apartment loft. It's a whack-ass world where women of New York let strange men into their homes, accept massages, and then strip off to the waist because reasons. I'm sure there were people who will cluck disapprovingly and call this a cult masterpiece, but to me it's just a mind-numbing wankathon of chin-strokey self-indulgence disguised as smart cinema. In the end, I felt like the guy in the Scream. I was shrieking, "Why?" Anyway, that's it for me. Gotta toddle off and learn stuff. Live long and don't buy any plaster pastries. Gary, Mr. Spock, Madden. I think I'll put him in the no category. What do you think?
I get the feeling.
Yeah, there you go. So,
although I would say at the time this was made, this was pre-clean-up New York. And
yeah.
Soho was apparently pretty rough.
Yep.
The lofts weren't very very sought after at that time.
Well, no. I mean, like I say, I'm fully expecting to sort of... I'm fully expecting to sort of get Sean or Melissa or any other members of New York, you know, sort of coming up and telling us all about New York, because, you know, obviously we're speaking from no experience whatsoever and just judging it based on this film. But yeah.
From my movie knowledge, such as classic gems as Jason Takes Manhattan, at this point in the 80s, they used to flush the New York sewers with toxic waste. So there you go.
Yeah, nice. Always works well. By the way, just a little live update from the Facebook group. Everyone seems totally unimpressed with our selections that we've just put up for the month.
Really?
Yeah. Michael Cornett's just written, "Jesus titty fucking Christ, you're making us watch Manos," with lots of question marks and exclamation marks. And Voldar T. Martian is typing something in as we speak. More news as it arrives from the Blackdog Facebook group. Anyway, so, yeah, there you go. Anyway, thank you very much for that, Gary. Yeah, I'm not far off your opinion, to be honest. So, let's move on. What?
I've just read Voldar's update. And he said, "Hey, there's someone else whose middle name is Titty Fucking."
Yeah. We have a Martian now on our Facebook group as well.
We
see,
do.
Just goes to prove. It's a vast and diverse world, apparently. There you go. So, yes. Anyway, I don't know. Let's move on. Thank you very much for that, Gary. And let's move on to you, Jim. Who do you have?
Well, we're keeping it in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have Mr. Greg Madden.
Hey!
Yeah, our very own Mr. Worf.
Ah, there you go.
Anyhow, Greg writes, "Greetings, Darren, Lee, Jim, Elton, and that narcoleptic nocturnal nightmare that is Mr. Al.
Nice.
This week we go into a movie that is a complete mystery to me, as I'd only heard of the name of it before this. So I had no idea what to expect. I figured that this movie was going to be a good show, being that it was a Martin Scorsese movie, and his movies are normally very well done. As I watched the show, I never really got into it. I could tell it was a very good show. The dialogue and acting was spot on, but it never really clicked with me, which left me wondering why. I first thought it might be the age of the show. Let's face it, a word processing consultant is just a job that isn't around anymore. And also, word processing stopped being a thing when I was just out of high school, or around that time. Also, it can't be the age, really, because I've enjoyed many shows that are much older than this one. So, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't identify with it, and I had no connection with it, being that I've never been a fan of New York City. And most people I've encountered from that region have been obnoxious or were very self-centred. Like I said, the show was very well done. I think the actor who played Paul Hackett did a great job, and he had a truly awful night, and I could truly feel for him, because I think everyone's had one of those nights where everything goes wrong, and you just want to go home. For my last view on the show, I would like to say that I heard it was a dark comedy, but I kind of wonder if it wasn't just more a reflection of the people of New York City, and how most people are so wrapped up in their own lives, they fail to recognise the plight of others. I don't know, maybe it was just me, but I got that kind of vibe from this show. To wrap it up, like I said earlier, I just never really got into the show, and I'm still wondering why. But I wouldn't say it was a bad watch, and maybe I'll revisit it at a later date. Well, I will say farewell from the security post of the USS Blackdog, and to all my fellow Blackdoggers, have a good week to come. Cheers, Mr. Wolf, Greg Madden.
Thank you very much for that, Greg. Yes, sounds like he's a bit nonplussed by the whole thing, really. So not quite on the same side as his brother, down the other end of the ship, but yeah, nevertheless, yeah, it doesn't sound like he's winning many people over at the moment, but
No.
But then that's from a sample of two. So let's maybe move on, see if we can find some more people than just one or two for the opinions here. So thank you very much for that, Greg. Carry on, and we'll hear from you soon, I'm sure. So, Darren, who do you have next?
I have... Sorry, my machine's been a little bit slow. I've got Will. Dr. Will, the fiendish Dr. Will.
Fiendish Dr. Will Catlin Hallett. Okie dokie.
Yes, indeed. And he sent a mail titled, I wasn't even supposed to be here.
Hang on, this isn't Clerks again, is it?
No. He writes, that was an odd film. Can't quite decide about it yet. There were definitely some good bits, but also it was quite slow and boring in places. It seemed to struggle to really show the bizarreness of the night, and it just looked like he was having a relatively boring time, at least until he comes across the body. I had some problems with Paul. So much of the film revolves around him having lost his $20 at the beginning, but why on earth did he take it out of his pocket and put it in the ashtray in the first place? At that speed, it was clearly going to get picked up by the wind. Yes. And seeing as he was trying to hold on for dear life, why did he suddenly decide to stop holding on and start waving cash around? And then later, when he's sitting with Marcy, she makes it very clear that she just needs someone to talk to. I didn't really follow what she was talking about, but it was clear that she had had a really shitty day and didn't want sex, just company. But he just kept thrusting himself at her. And when she didn't put out, he stropped off. After that, he frankly deserves whatever he gets. The more surreal aspects of it appealed to me. The burglars who actually bought something, the random waitress who threw herself at Paul, and the constant links between all the different aspects of the night. I was actually preparing myself to say that I really didn't like it, but the ending was excellent. I loved the way he walked into his office, like he'd just woken from a dream. Pretty much the way pretty much made it for me. Anyway, till next time, Fiendish Dr. Will.
Right, well, thank you very much for that, Fiendish Dr. Will. So, yeah, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, the Paul's actions at the beginning, especially with Rosanna Arquette, who's clearly got issues, let's be honest.
Very much so.
You know, his actions towards her are just really odd. It just so inept, so ineptly handled that you can't feel anything but contempt for the man.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, we think we've run over that as well a few times now. So, yeah, he's a dick. But anyway, thank you very much for that finish, Dr. Will, sir. Yes, hear from you soon, no doubt. Right. So, Elton, who do you have next?
I have Fred, Dr. Scum, Lubnow.
Ah, Dr. Scum and his site. Oh, no, hold on. I've got it in my head. It's lovecraftianscience.wordpress.com.
That's the one.
Thank you very much, Jim. Hey, I'm getting there. So,
It's like a tag team, isn't it?
it is. It's like a well-oiled machine now.
Excellent.
Yes. Well, I say well-oiled when I say machine.
Nobody wants to think of you oiled.
Yes, they do.
Nobody wants to think of your oiled machine.
Yes, they do. It's just like slimy sausage duvet.
Oh, God.
Sausage meat duvet.
Years and years and years of therapy coming from that one.
Yep.
Anyway, Fred says his subject is see what happens when you pay for stuff, someone rips you off.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Black Dog crew. Hope all is well.
Thank you.
I saw After Hours in grad school with a bunch of friends back in the early 90s and could not remember anything about it. Not a great movie, but not a bad movie. A few funny moments, but the main characters was kind of a jerk even before all of the After Hours antics. He had some creepy moves with his love interest while she was both alive and dead. In a strange in a strange way, the movie reminds me more of John Carpenter than Martin Scorsese film. The music, the run-in, the paranoid in a city definitely gave me the 80s Carpenter feel. Scorsese did have a nice cameo as the guy operating the spotlight in the punk bar and loved the Cheech and Chong cameo as well. It's interesting how the movie almost had an Invasion of the Body Snatchers feel to it, and how the jingle of the Mr. Softy truck would instill absolute terror. Overall, an okay film. Nice to revisit, but no need to see it see it again anytime soon. Thank you, Black Dog, and looking forward to the next week's film. Fred, Dr. Scum, Lubnow.
Oh, bless you, Fred. Bless you in your eternal optimism. next week's film. Bless you. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much for that, sir. Yeah, he liked it, or at least liked it more than the rest of them.
Yeah, I can see the Carpenter vibe there as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's that Assault on Precinct 13 thing, isn't it? It's that.
Yeah.
It's that sort of nihilistic kind of siege mentality New York that I can see that's kind of being evoked here, but yeah, and the siege mentality, but the Invasion of the Body Snatchers is an interesting comparison. I don't know about that. I mean, there is that whole thing of everyone's of a mind and I can't escape the mob. I guess that's kind of it.
Well, everyone's got it in for him. He's paranoid about absolutely everything, isn't he?
Yes.
And you have that paranoia in the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, absolutely, actually. Yeah, you're right. Yep, sorry. Okay, then. Well, thank you very much for that, Dr. Scum, old Fred, sir. And yes, if you want to hear more of Fred's writing, or rather read more of Fred's writing, it's going to turn into one of those, listen, can you smell something? But anyway, if you want to read more of Fred's writing, then do pop on over to his blog, which is lovecraftianscience.wordpress.com. Right, okay, well, remarkably brief amount of written feedback this week. So, yeah, it's time to move on to MP3 feedback now. And our first bit of MP3 feedback is from Michael the Belly Stapler Kent Cornett. And his blog is dustandcorruption.blogspot.com. And, yeah, I wonder if he's going to be joined by a certain Martian.
Good evening, Black Doggers. This is Mike Cornett, the Belly Stapler, your man in Baltimore.
And this is Voldar, your man on Phobos.
Yes, he's still here. Well, it's good for him, I think.
Yes, tell me it's good for me. My therapist said it would be good for me to watch a comedy.
Oh, did you like it, Voldar?
No.
Okay. Well, After Hours. strange movie. I watched a part of this many, many years ago. I think when it was first out on video. I was over at a friend's place and they were watching it, and I thought, this really is more peculiar than actually funny.
Yeah, peculiar is the word for it.
Watching it again, watching it all the way through and all that, now, I'm like, this is just not doing it for me. There were a couple parts I thought funny, and some of the performances were good. What did you think, Voldar?
I liked the part where he looked out the window and saw the woman shooting that guy. That was funny. I also wondered why he didn't just open fire on those people chasing him around the streets. I know I would have. That's what we do on Mars. You chase people, you open fire on them.
Okay. Yep. All right. I was kind of sitting there watching it, intrigued by the fact that, at first you feel a lot of sympathy for the guy because he's like this yuppie in his everyday drudge. He's lonely, you can tell. He's looking for some adventure.
I can sympathize.
Really?
Yes, I understand that.
It's good for you. That's good. But he's really hoping for something new, and he goes out and randomly meets this girl, but then he acts like kind of a douchebag to her. And on one hand, that was bad, but on the other hand, well, that's human.
Really? Human beings act that way?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, Martians act that way too.
Yeah, we're all cut from the same cloth, aren't we?
Pretty much.
But, yeah, I mean, and then you start feeling for him again, maybe a little bit. The problem is this movie really has a detached air to it. You see all this stuff happening, but you don't get involved. I mean, at least I didn't get involved. I didn't really care all that much. It just seemed so remote.
It was really remote for me, being on Phobos and all. Ha, that was a joke.
Yeah, that's good. Yep. It was like well made, but just not engaging. And that's really my ultimate verdict on it.
I was not all that amused by it. There were a couple parts I left at. I was intrigued by that one scene in the place where the man goes and talks to the bartender, and there were those other two guys. Is that how human beings make friends? Because my therapist wants me to make friends, and I was wondering what that was like.
Well, Voldar, some human beings, I guess.
Oh, well, okay. We do things like that on Mars sometimes, especially in the Army.
Really?
Yeah. And they were dressed like Martian Army recruits.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'll have to show you sometime.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that, Voldar, later. Not right now.
If you have a word with them, maybe they'll let me make a Martian Army uniform during arts and crafts time here at the rehab center. It'll give me something to do. And I've been stuck in the same green jumpsuit since 1964, and this stupid helmet that Martians don't wear anymore. What Martians there are, because they're all hiding underground now after the great environmental catastrophe caused by Droppo and his goddamn Christmas industrialization and consumerism that destroyed our environment. I need to calm down. My therapist said...
Voldar, do your breathing exercises. That's a good boy. Yeah. See, you're getting better. Anyway, that was After Hours. Not my favorite of the movies we've ever seen.
Not my favorite movie ever. But it was better than Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
Voldar, stop. Don't think about it. Your therapist told you not to think about it.
Okay.
God, guys, you can't believe it when this guy cries. It's like geysers.
Don't talk about me that way.
Okay, Voldar, I'm sorry. We'll talk, all right? We'll talk after we're done here.
Okay.
But anyway, so that was it. Yep. Looking forward to next week for whatever movie it is. And I'm sure the big green lunk here will enjoy doing it. Hey, I say that affectionately. It's how we human beings are. We joke like that.
Oh, okay.
So, that's it for now. This is Mike Cornett saying goodnight from Baltimore.
And this is Voldar saying good night, humans, from Phobos.
And so, no, Voldar, don't do it. Don't do it. I'll take care of it. Okay. Well, I'll take care of it for both of us. Okay. Mwah. See y'all later. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Well, thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much, Voldar. Hope your therapy comes along nicely. As far as the Martian military costumes are concerned, keep that between you two. That's perfectly fine. That's cool. No need to share. Sometimes privacy is all. But anyway, thank you very much for that. I mean, from the sound of it, pair of you were feeling about it is pretty much the same way me and Elton were, sort of unengaged, I think is the best way of putting it. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I totally get it. I just lost interest right from the start, and from him being apparently a dick, and then it just went from there really. So yeah, I'm the same, very much unengaged, I think is the best way of putting it. But yeah, it's no Santa Claus Conquers the Martians though, so don't worry about that. You're perfectly fine there. We've got a few coming up though that might intrigue you in that respect, though. Looking at the Facebook group, I don't think you're very happy about them. Anyway, but there you go. So, thank you very much for that, Michael. And like I say, if you want to read more of Michael's stuff, his Lovecraftian and weird fiction and horror blog, dustandcorruption.blogspot.com is the place for you to go. So, check it out. And we'll no doubt speak to you and Voldar later, Mike. So, until then, take care. Right, so it leaves us with our last bit of feedback, which is Drew and Tracy. So, let's hear what Drew and Tracy thought of After Hours.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
That was just...
After Hours, we just finished watching, didn't we? 2 seconds ago. Go on, Em.
I can't.
Why not?
That was shit.
Okay.
Honestly, I just thought that started off quite well.
Okay.
And then just pissed me off more and more and more.
What was that?
As the film progressed, because it was just daft. It was ridiculous. It was just stupid. Like we just said, the man's like stuck in Manhattan. Walk.
Yes.
You don't need to be stuck
Americans don't walk anywhere, though.
Well, they don't.
They?
Oh, I don't know. It just annoyed me.
I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like...
What?
I thought it was kind of a little... It reminded me a little bit like Lynch, kind of David Lynch kind of film.
No.
It was like a caper. I really enjoyed it. I got to say, I really did. I thought it was great.
Well, I completely fucking disagree with what you just said.
I'm not saying it's the best film ever, but I'm just saying I really enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of like classic bit 80s kind of like weird film. It's my cup of tea, this kind of thing. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I thought it was good. I liked it. It was kind of like, the more you watch it, the more you just like, oh, why is this guy in this situation?
Yeah, but that's what pissed me off.
I can completely understand.
I don't understand why you're saying, "Oh yeah, this was brilliant." It was like,
no, I'm not saying it's brilliant, but I did not say that. I'm saying I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I think I like this kind of film, just like a bit weird and out there, and it was weird and out there, wasn't it? And it was also quite a black comedy, which is my favourite kind of comedy.
Well, yeah, but it started off quite funny, and then Rosanna Arquette came into it, and then she's like, "Oh, well, I was raped, and I'm going to kill myself."
Yeah,
and it was like, "Oh, it's a bit dark here." Yeah. And I couldn't kind of get into a comedy after that, because I was just a bit like, there's some wrong bits in here. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I looked at it a bit too bleakly, but
No, you know what? I understand what you're saying. This isn't your kind of thing, is it? No, it's my kind of thing now.
I just kept finding just fucking like your money's flown out the window, and then you meet the cab driver again, and he nicks your money.
It's
then
funny.
and he keeps trying to call the police to say, "Hello, I've done something wrong," and like they keep hanging up on him. No, that's not going to happen, really, is it? And then he just meets like a bunch of nutnuts.
I enjoyed the kind of like completely unconnected and randomness of it. I don't know. I like this kind of stuff,
and so
but not for everyone.
Just
I
randomly,
understand that.
Cheek picks him
Cheek
up.
and Chong, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't Chong. I looked at the credits. It wasn't
right.
Chong. It was only Cheek. So they pick him up, as part of his paper mache-ness.
At the end.
Yeah, and then they managed to drop him right outside his work.
No, but that's part of the story, isn't it?
I don't know, it was daft. I don't get it. I didn't like it.
Okay, well I did, but I understand not for everyone, but I enjoyed.
Alright.
Leave it up.
Coolio.
Okay.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye. And yeah. Well, anyone got a good divorce lawyer? A number? Anyone? Yeah. So, well, we apologise, and the Blackdog podcast takes, and its hosts and affiliates take no responsibility in any domestic disputes that may arise from watching any films of ours. Thank you very much for that, guys. I'm definitely on Tracy's side there. I am. The more I think about this film, the more I'm just down with it. Just like, it's shit, and just walk away from it. leave a pile of petrol and throw a match over my shoulder and just walk away.
Grenade.
Yeah, real men don't look at explosions. But no, I'm more on Tracy's side than Drew's. But Drew seems to be on your side there, Dal.
He certainly does.
He does. He likes, and he mentioned Lynch as well. So good. There you go. So we were on the path, critically, if not necessarily. Yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. So thank you very much for that, Drew. Thank you very much for that, Tracy. Hopefully your relationship holds steady till next week for another feedback. If you want to send one in, we'll look forward to that. And brilliant. So that wraps it up. That's the end of the feedback. So just like to thank everyone for sending feedback in. Thank you all for listening up to this point as well. And now it's time for us to tell you what film we'll be covering next week. Well, we've gone from New York all the way to London. See how we connect these things? See how the dots we connect?
The tenuous link by which we slide down? Yes,
the terribly tenuous link by which we just hang on with the fingernails. But no, there's a reason. You're going from New York in an apocalyptic setting to London in an apocalyptic setting. Except instead of ice cream ladies and people who are just off their nuts, or to quote Tracy, off their nut, what we actually have is 200-foot-high dragons and Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey and posters which promise more than the actual trailers do. So, we are talking about Reign of Fire, a film which promised so much and delivered so little. So, who has seen Reign of Fire around the table here?
I have.
Darren, okay. Jim?
I have.
Okay. Elton?
I have.
Okay, well, they're full house for a change. So, Darren, what did you think of this film when we first saw it?
I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly, because I've not actually watched it since then. Since we saw it at the cinema.
I think that comes as some kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah. The one scene in this that stands out to me the most, the one that I remember the clearest, is when they're reenacting Star Wars for the kids.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
Just that. That is all that's the one bit. I don't remember any of the combat or any of that in it.
Yep.
Just that.
Yep. There you go. Okay. Are you looking forward to seeing it again?
I'm kind of intrigued to see it again.
Okie dokie. Well, we'll see what you think of it next week. Jim, what about you?
I saw this at the cinema.
Yeah.
It's one of those what was promised by the poster and what the film delivered still rankles somewhat.
Yeah. The poster person should have clearly got involved in the director.
Yes. Quite clearly.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a funny one. It's a kind of... It has marks against it because of that. But there's things about it I thought was interesting. So I'll be intrigued to see how I feel about when I go back to it. Well, now I kind of know what I'm letting myself in for.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a bit Day of the Triffids, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get that.
You hear of Day of the Triffids, you go, about killer plants taking over the world. And then you read it, and it's not quite what you get from it.
Yeah, you got Richard Gill going around in an ice cream van around Cornwall. Or is that the wrong film? Yeah, so, okay then. Well, be interested to see what you think about it. And Elton, what about you, sir?
I remember watching this. I think the only time I've watched this was when it was shown on TV.
Oh, God. Okay.
Now, I'm pretty sure it was on Channel 4 where they had the adverts thrown all the way through it, and that helped quite a bit when I watched.
Going for a piss break every 15 minutes was going to help you watch this film.
Yeah, well, sometimes when you watch a film in chunks, it helps, doesn't it?
Yep, certainly. Yep, definitely.
I think it does sometimes.
Okay.
It depends on the movie, but I'm intrigued as to what I'm going to see this time round. And they're not dragons.
No.
I'll just leave that there.
What are they then?
Wyverns.
That's it, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, there
Science.
You go. Science, bitches. Okay, fine. Cheers.
Did they actually call them wyverns?
No, they call them dragons.
Exactly. So why do you think they're wyverns?
Because dragons have 4 legs. These don't. Their arms are incorporated into the wing.
Jim, I need a ruling on this.
Well, technically speaking, wyverns are a type of dragon, and the name comes from heraldry.
Oh, well, if Jim says it, then it must be true.
But dragons...
Don't get arsey just because you're pulling facts on your arse.
Yeah. But dragons can have any number of limbs. In fact, most British dragons are limbless worms. So there you go. That's in the Lambton worm.
See? Mm-hmm. See? Jim and his facts. See?
God damn it.
By the way, there is some passing of time in after hours. Anyway, oh well, sorry, Elton, it's not your week this week, is it?
Not really, no.
Sorry. But it's better that Jim schools you now than the Facebook group gives you a kick in.
Well, if anyone's going to school me, I'd rather it be Jim than anyone else.
There you go. See?
I will look into this further, though, over the week and report back. But, I mean, technically, wyverns, in say a lot of things, are considered different from dragons, or at least a different subspecies. So,
okay. Mm-hmm. There you go. The more you know. So what did you actually think of it, by the way, anyway? Did you actually like it?
I think I did.
Okay.
I think I did, but I'm looking forward to this viewing, actually.
Okay. Well, there you go. It should surprise absolutely no one that I fucking loathed this film. I mean, if a film puts on a poster, London burning with AH-64 Apache gunships shooting the shit out of dragons, I want to see AH-64 gunships shooting the shit out of dragons over the Houses of Parliament. What I don't want is a 2-second flashback of a dragon seen from a mile away standing on top of Big Ben, and then 3 hours of Matthew McConaughey mumbling at fucking Christian Bale in a cave. That is, if you put dragons on the poster, I want dragons in the fucking film. If you put 400 dragons on the poster, I want 400 dragons in the film, not roughly cut out kite shapes being thrown around in the distance and then being told there was a threat. That's not Rain of Fire. That's a piss of piss.
That's more like cystitis, because that's Bernie.
Yeah, exactly. It's
bladder infection.
Bladder infection of reign of bladder infection.
Yeah, a bladder of infection.
A bladder of infection Yeah, a rain of bilge. So I'm coming at this with my arms firmly crossed and an impress me look on my face, because as far as I'm concerned, fucking Rain of Fire is like being told that you're getting real. It's like going into one of those school games. You know, when you go into school and they have a fair. And then they go, "Oh, would you like to dig for gold?" And then basically you pull out instead of a gold nugget, you pull out a piece of popcorn that they've put some yellow dye on, and you go, "That's not gold." And they go, "Yes, it is. Use your imagination." No, you put gold on the fucking 10p for a gold fucking treasure hunt, not popcorn hunt. Fuck off. If you put fucking flying saucers on your fucking packet, I want to see a fucking packet full of flying saucers, not fucking sherbet dib dabs in some piece of fucking edible paper.
You actually want real flying saucers?
Yeah, I fucking do. And if you put fucking dragons on a poster and call the ship fucking film Rain of fucking Fire, I want to see fire and I want to see dragons. And if you put a fucking helicopter shooting at a dragon, I want to see that fucking shit and all. Not fucking scruffy Christian Bale doing his best homeless impression in a cave pretending to do Star Wars to a bunch of bored kids.
Yeah, and if I go into McDonald's and I ask for a Big Mac and fries, I want a large coat with some chips in each pocket.
No, I want it
because that's a Big Mac. I want a Big Mac, an oversized Mac.
If the word says Big Mac and there's a picture of a fucking hamburger on there, then I want a fucking hamburger called a Big Mac. What I don't want is a plastic Mac, because that would be silly. If you show me dragons, I want fucking dragons. If you show me loads of dragons, I want loads of dragons. Not one dragon with Matthew McConaughey going, I've been fighting these dragons for fucking ever. I'm going to fight these dragons. I'm going to fucking fight these dragons. And then the first time you see him, he just goes, oh. It's like, fuck off, you useless pillock. Fucking film. Anyway, if you would like to send in any feedback for Rain of Fire... send it in to feedback@blackdogpodcast.com.
I did have the game for Rain of Fire, or my brother did. I think it was on the PlayStation.
Really?
There was a game?
Yeah, there was a game, and it involved you driving in what looked like an ice cream van with a rocket launcher on top of it.
What were you looking for? Were there actually dragons in it?
I think so.
Well, that's one up on the film.
It could have been a pigeon crossed with an umbrella, because they weren't exactly the best graphics of the PlayStation 1. So
no,
I'm going to have a look at that now, the Rain of Fire video game, because that's going to bring back some nightmares.
Well, while you're doing that, would our co-hosts care to promote their wares? Jim?
Yes, you can hear me on my own podcast this week, doing a commentary for a classic old movie. In fact, the very first zombie movie ever, White Zombie from 1932.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this weekend, unless I change my mind, I'm putting out an episode on a little tome called The Beaver Book of Horror.
Oh,
I'll
nice.
leave that sitting there, I think.
Nice. Okay, I'm saying nothing.
Sounds like a Saturday night.
Yeah, exactly. Beaver Book of... No, never mind. Anyway, right, cool. And what about you, Elton?
Well, you can catch myself and Andy Plastides talking about cars going round in circles with flappy spoilers and stuff on the Grand Prix podcast. We also, at the moment, because Andy's in America, we put it on hold, but the Band of Brothers podcast is still going.
Mm-hmm.
And I should be recording Shonky Lab this week on Thursday. It won't be live because I still haven't worked the bloody thing out yet.
Mixler.
It's not Mixler. I need something to send it to Mixler from. I need like a dead notebook or something.
Oh, right. Okay.
They can't do XP anymore. Stupid.
Okay. Or you could just upgrade your laptop. Windows 10.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah, I'll have a chat with you about that.
Okay,
later.
no worries.
Yeah, shonkylab.com. Anything else that I do is normally on rogue2.com anyway, so pop over there.
Okie dokie. And you can hear me on Space Doc Jury. We've just done an episode covering the three big uns: the Enterprise versus the TARDIS versus the Millennium Falcon, which I think is about as big as it goes, and it's has broken our scoring system pretty much irrevocably. And you can find that at spacedocjury.geekplanetonline.com, or you can go onto iTunes and find it there. Right, okay, well, that's it then. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much to everyone who sent in their feedback. And, do send in feedback for Reign of Fire. Yes, feedback.blackdogpodcast, feedback at blackdogpodcast.com. You can also follow the Black Dog Podcast Twitter feed, which is at Black Dog Podcast. And you can join us on our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/the Black Dog Podcast. And if you want to look up all our old episodes and you don't want to go on iTunes, you can go to blackdogpodcast.com itself, where you can find the feed, which you can subscribe to. You can also find the old episodes, and there will be there's a holding page for a blog, so there will be any bits and pieces and news and updates and parish notices and that kind of thing will be going up there. So, until next time, thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Elton. And, we'll see you all back next week for Film with Dragons That Doesn't Feature Dragons, Reign of Fire. Until then, take care. Tatty, bye. Anyone else going to say goodbye?
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm too engrossed watching the video game.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, bollocks to it.